not helped at all, but rather had grown worse. After hearing about Jesus, came up in the crowd behind him and took his cloak, for she thought, if I just touch his garments, I shall get well. And immediately the flow of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her affliction. And immediately Jesus, perceiving in himself that power had proceeded from him and had gone forth, he turned around in the crowd and said, "Who touched my garments?" His disciples said to him, "You see the multitude pressing on you, and you say, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see the woman who had done this, but the woman, fearing and trembling, aware of what had happened to her, came and fell before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction." The New American Standard Bible, Mark chapter 5, verses 25 through 34. May the Lord add blessings to the reading here and the doing of his word for the edifying of our souls. Who touched me? Who touched me? I believe it's more of a statement than a question, because Jesus was the walking answer epitomized. In other words, he was, is, and always will be the answer. There's a song we used to sing, "Jesus is the answer for the world today. There's none above him." This woman shows up to church today to share her testimony. That I know what it's like to sing the song, "I've been through the storm and rain, but I made it. I've had heartaches and pains, but I made it." She knows what it's like to sing the song that the choir just sung, that selection, "God has been good to me." She had determination, and her determination became the gasoline for her deliverance.
All right.
Her determination gave her inspiration. That despite what the Levitical law said in the book of Leviticus, that if you have any sort of malady or disorder, that you are ceremonially unclean and you're not fit to enter the crowd and the worship in the presence of people. But that didn't keep her away, because the story says she had endured much at the hands of many physicians. And she spent up all of her money and was not moving up. It seemed like every time she took 2 steps forward, she had to take 10 steps back.
Yeah.
She became a habit of spending, trying to pay her way out of her situation. No doctor could deal with it. No physician could handle it. They just kept taking from her and never getting any gain or any healing or any profit back to her situation in her blood condition. You know, life is in the blood. Blood is that liquid form that carries oxygen, nutrients all throughout the body, and you got to have blood in order to live. And here she is with this hematological condition where she's losing blood. It's making her sleepy, insomnia. It's making her tired. It's making her cranky. It's making her sick. It's making her exhausted. And she heard that Jesus was hanging around town. Verse 27, after hearing about Jesus, that's all she needed. I don't care what you do in life, make sure folk hear about Jesus. No matter how high you go, what you matriculate to, how many degrees, status, how many levels you climb, no matter how high you get up on the mountain, on the scale, up the stairs, up the ladder, make sure folk know that you know Jesus. When folks see your house, they ought to hear about Jesus. When folks see your family, they ought to hear about Jesus. When folk ride by grace, they ought to know that Jesus hangs around there.
All right.
After hearing about Jesus, came up in the crowd behind him, and she worked her way past the churchy folk and the religiosity folk and all those folk who was naysayers and picking, and some was nasty toward her, mean, some was cantankerous, and she said, if I can just touch the H-E-M of him,
all right.
if I can just touch the hem of his garment, just one touch, I don't have to hug him, I don't have to slap high fives, I don't have to embrace him, I don't have to hang around him a long time. I know that there's something about the power of the touch from Jesus. Somebody sitting here today can say, I know what doctors did and physicians did. I've been in the hospital room. I've had to lay on my back. But it was the touch of Jesus that made a difference. Somebody can say, I've been through things. I had to matriculate, raise my children. Didn't have all that I needed to make it in life. But Jesus stopped by and he touched my financial situation. He touched my mental capacity. He touched my physical life. He touched my mind and he touched my soul. And you can sit there and tell the world that since I've been touched by Jesus, I've got a new walk, a new talk, a new aspiration, a new joy, a new song, a new way of living, a new shout. Because I touched him. Yeah. And the question is today, during this Advent season, this season where we remember Jesus coming down through obscurity and through genealogy and coming down through atmosphere, hemisphere, stratosphere, landing on the earth, being birthed in a trough, a place where you fed and animals hung out and lowly creatures hung out. He came to us in order to take us to him.
All right.
My God.
Yes.
And he came to touch us. But the question is asked, who touched me? Are you touching Jesus?
Yes.
Are you touching him with your prayer? Are you touching him with your faith? Are you touching Jesus with your witness? Have you got his attention? Do you touch him with your witness and with your meditation and your devotion? Do you reach up and touch him, or are you just worried about touching people or impressing people? Jesus asked the question today, who touched me? Yeah, this woman here, I believe it wasn't a question because he knew that his disciples often, they kind of bumbled around and tripped over their own thoughts. They didn't really get it all the time. That's why they were his disciples, disciplined learners. They were learning and they hadn't got all of the lessons of the classroom. But Jesus here deals with this woman's trouble and he's impressed with this woman's talk. And then he gave this woman a turn. Her trouble was that she had been in this thing for a long time.
Yes.
You know, some of us, we worship behind the dark cloud of our hurt and pain. We worship against the backdrop of our troubles. We worship despite how long things been hanging around for a long time. My God. Problems that ensue in our lives, but God gives us faith and patience and courage and endurance and temperance, and he gives us what I like to call grace that is sustaining us. In other words, it keeps us stationary and fixed and fashioned into one place where we can say, I'm trusting in the Lord and waiting and depending on him. And I know he may not come when I want him to come, but he's never late. He'll show up. And when he shows up, he'll be right on time. And so he dealt with her trouble. That for a long time, she had been in this condition. And did everything she could do. Now here it is. When you've done all you can do, drop it in his lap.
Amen.
Peter said cast. The word cast in Greek means to throw the heavy weight on him, to roll it on him. Cast all your cares upon him because he cares for you. When don't nobody else care, God cares. Don't nobody act like they care, God cares. When nobody else showing any apathy, any passion, any compassion. God cares.
Yes.
That's a word for somebody today.
Yes.
That you can make it through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and back again Sunday because God cares.
Amen.
I'm preaching to somebody.
Amen.
She went through a 10-year of trouble, blood disorder, frustrated, expecting the doctor to do something.
Yes.
To add insult to injury, Jesus was on his way to Jairus' house. And he had a crowd of folk following him who was waiting to see him raise Jairus' child from the malady and the sickness.
Yes.
This woman interrupts the procession of the Prince of Peace. Don't hate on folk when God blesses them and God opens doors and God heals them and God makes a way for them. You ain't got to stand in line with God. God don't have an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, P. You don't have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He don't have to put you in line to bless you. In fact, he's visiting you right now and all of us at the same time. He got Big Mama downtown, down south, and he got folk over in California, over in Australia, Africa. He got them everywhere. God is everywhere at the same time. And he don't have to excuse me to come see about you. And he don't have to leave you to come see about me. He can handle all that we're dealing with.
Amen.
I wish I could preach today.
Amen.
Continue her trouble. I got to get to her talk, though, because her talk is what impresses me. I love the biblical writings of the Bible when people are just transparent and 100 about what they're dealing with. This woman started thinking, and the Bible says she touched him first, but then she had a conversation that had preceded her touching him.
All right.
Is it in your Bible? After hearing about Jesus, came up in the crowd behind him to touch his cloak, for she thought.
Right.
Now you got to remember that part right there. For she thought, if I can just touch this garment, I don't need a checkbook. I don't have to get my Clean Clinic has this thing on the computer and they send me my page and all that kind of stuff. Hello, some mancha. Yes.
Preach, Doc.
I don't have to worry about a bootleg doctor who cannot handle my situation. That's why you got to be careful who touches you and who speaks into your life. Got to be careful what you get close to, what you let into your gate, what you open your heart, your mind to. You got to be careful of folk who not quoting the scriptures, but they just quote some sayings. This woman gave herself some spiritual pep talk. She pepped herself up as if she was in a game waiting on a championship. And she started saying, go ahead, girl. You can do it. You're a winner. You're somebody. Get on out there. Reach on out. Stretch on out. You got it. You're already there. I'm almost there. I got to move some Negroes out the way. Or I got to get past this one. I got to move past this one. I got to scoot on over this way. You give me 5 feet right here. And she moved up to Jesus and she touched the H-E-M of the H-I-M, and Jesus knew that it was a different kind of touch. It wasn't no sitting in church fancy, cute, civility, religious.
Preach, Doc.
She didn't care how she looked. This woman said,
Yes,
I say it, I got the children today.
yes.
Get out of my way because I'm going to touch Jesus. That's why Jesus calls us children. We're never not a child. That's why we joy and celebrate children. He said, unless you come to me as a child.
That's it. That's the word.
We're children.
Yes.
Just a touch. She talked to herself. And she gave herself some encouragement. Sometimes you got to encourage yourself. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, and mount with wings as eagles, run, not get weary, walk and not faint. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him. He's going to direct my path. The Lord is my light and my salvation. He's the strength of my life. When the wicked, the enemy, and foes come upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumble and fell, going host captive against me, and this will I become. There's one thing I desire of the Lord, and that will I seek after, that I might dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of his tabernacle. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me. You got to encourage sometimes yourself.
Say the word, Doc. Say the word. Yes, sir.
If I can just get to Jesus. Well, last point is the turn. We looked at the tenure of her trouble, her talk. I can tell you go more about the talk. But I'm going to talk about the touch that gave her turn. Immediately the flow, blood dried up. And she felt in her body she was healed. Yeah, you got to have the kind of faith that make you feel what you need to feel. See, you put the faith first, and the feeling is the caboose. A lot of us put the feeling first, and the faith is the caboose.
My God.
But when we get our faith and our facts,
Say it.
we can get our feelings together.
Amen.
She felt in her body something within me that holding the reins, something within me I cannot explain. Something within me that banishes my pain.
My God.
All that I know.
Yeah.
Y'all too quiet today. Is there something
Yes, sir.
within me?
My God.
That's why the song says, shackled back, heavy burden beneath the load of guilt and shame. Then the hand of Jesus touched me. I can't always explain it.
My God. My God.
Just something happened.
Something.
And now I know
I know.
he touched me. Did he touch you?
Come on.
I said, did he touch you? Did he turn it around in your life?
All right.
Did he give you a new walk and a new talk? Did he give you a new pep in your step? Did he give you new light at the end of your road? Did he give you a new silver lining behind yours? Did God do it for you? Well, I come to certain notice that he wants us to touch him. Touch him with your faith. Touch him with your attitude. Touch him with your joy. Touch him with your worship. The Bible says that this woman went back another way. No longer did she have to go by Ahuja or by Cleveland Clinic or University Hospital. But she went back home with a new pep in her step. The girls and the women that were shunning her saw that something was over her. That Jesus made a difference in her life. Because the Bible says that he said to her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed from your affliction. And I wonder who I'm talking to today that know God can turn it around. God can fix it for you. God can lift you up. God can wipe your tear-stained eyes. God can give you a new start. God can save your soul and make you whole. Is there anybody here that know he's real? Is there anybody here that knows he's got power? Is there anybody here that knows he's worth every hallelujah and every praise? I'm looking at a living testimony. You've been through the storm and rain. You've had heartaches and pain. You've been knocked down, but you ain't been knocked out. And you ought to bear witness that for God I'll live and for God I'll die. Is there anybody here that want to help me preach today? Jesus came down, stuck on the human train, rode it for 9 long months. He was born in Bethlehem of Judea. He healed the sick. He raised the dead. He unstopped their ears. He made the dumb talk. want to go with you. Early Sunday morning. He got it up. He got it up. He got it up. With all power in his hand. Yeah. Excuse me, y'all. What's your issue? What's your situation? God can handle it. God can deal with it. God can fix it. Won't He do it? Won't He do it? Won't He do it? He'll do it. Yes, He will. Who touched me? Who touched me? Who touched me? Who touched me? I know what you've been through, brother. Had to take down a curtain rod because you didn't have nothing to walk with. Climbed your way to emergency. Pain all in your body. Said, Pastor, you ain't got to come. But if you pray right now, I believe in prayer. But look at God. Look at God. Ain't He all right? We got to get out of here, y'all. We've been in church. For you who just come back to church, we ain't never in church this long. I'm sorry. We'll be gone by 1:15. We've been in church long. But just know, if you want to get anybody's attention, get Jesus' attention. Get His attention.
Yes,
Get
sir.
His attention with your situation.
That's right.
Just touch. She don't have to do nothing big or great. Just touch. I believe that if I can just touch, I'll be made better.
Yes, sir.
The door's open. Though the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day. Still that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shores. I know He'll lead me safely to that blessed place He has prepared. But if the storms don't cease, and if the wind keep on blowing in my life, my soul has been anchored in the Lord. My good friend never long ago, he would say, "Oh, the storms
Yes, sir.
keep on raging in my life,
Yes, sir.
and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day, from day. Still that lies within. Come to Jesus. He's reassured. Come on to Jesus. As I keep my eyes upon the distant shores, I know He'll lead me safely to that blessed place He has prepared. But if the storms don't cease, just in case the wind keep on blowing in my life, my soul has been